What up, it's your boy, The Incredible Manny. Yes, I am back at it again, and this is my discussion slash review for 911 Season 5, Episode 8, Defend and Place. And I gotta say, honestly, this restored my faith in humanity so much, man. Let's talk about it.
Fight until you make it, yo, don't think it, no, just take it. Don't wait for someone to break it, take control, then don't just fake it. Hey, you can make it happen, you just gotta take some action. Take the ship and be the captain.
This episode just made me feel so good about humanity and just being a human being in general. And it's too bad that real life ain't like that, man. I mean, sure, in some instances, there's genuinely good people on this planet, man. But, you know, overall, man, you end up coming in contact with more of the bad ones than anything. But, you know, episodes like this always just restore your hope in humanity, man, where I know this is just a show, but like, in this entire episode, it just made you feel like glad to be a human being, man. I mean, it just made you feel great, made you want to just go out and do something wonderful and good for somebody without asking for any kind of compensation or doing it for something or anything or in particular. It's just doing it just to be doing it, just to be a good person. And that's what this episode made me feel like, and it just restored my faith in humanity until something happens, until it destroys my faith in humanity. But I really love that about this episode. This was a goodbye episode, honestly, because we see that the entire episode kind of revolved around Michael and David per se, but main so around David, because David's character is going on to another show. Rockman Dunbar is his real name, I think. He's going on to another show, so this is like his farewell, and I'm pretty sure if that show bombs or if it does good or something, if he comes back, like, you know, like reoccurring eventually. But I know he's moving on to another show, so that's why he's getting this whole focused on Michael this episode and David and everything to give him that farewell. And even at the end of the episode, we see him kind of just having that speech with the family. It was like, well, you know, David's going to Haiti to, you know, help with his brilliant mind, and I'm going to go and restore homes for people. Granted, he's going to another show, but that was a nice way to send off his character, especially with him proposing to David and David accepting. And I feel like everybody accepted it, and I just love, like, I love their whole little family. It's a little different, you know, especially when you have one family that, you know, the parents get divorced and they marry somebody else, but then like they all just have like a great time and everybody's good with everybody. I love that. I love that 911 focuses on that as well, because Bobby and Michael get along great. Bobby and David get along great. Athena and Michael get along. David and Athena get along great. It's just such a fun thing to really just see that on screen, to see the whole thing as a unit. Just really just nobody's jealous of anybody, upset at anybody, anything like that. It's just every time you see them together, you feel like that's nice, man. That's nice. It's nice to, especially when they do group hugs and everything like that. We see that Athena's a little sad that Michael's leaving, and that's to be warranted, man. And then we see a flashback of all the stuff that they went through and everything over the past couple seasons, and that really initiated the point to me. It was like, oh, okay, well, now he's leaving. Like, I knew he was going to leave eventually, but I didn't know like this exact date. And seeing those flashbacks with him deciding to go to Haiti kind of just reaffirmed everything that, okay, well, he's leaving the show now. So I did like that aspect, but let's talk about the overall episode as a whole. There was a lot of stuff going on in this episode. The accident that started the actual explosion and the fire and everything. The little boy bumped into the cart, knocked over maybe like some paint thinner or something that's flammable. I'm not totally sure what it was. And it spilled right there in the doorway of a door. The janitor cleaned that part up, but he didn't clean up on the inside. This lady carrying oxygen tanks walked in, slipped, knocked the nozzle off, and it's still spewing out oxygen. The janitor didn't notice that, and she dropped her keys, or he dropped his keys in the doorway. She tries to shut the door, and that starts to spark, and it just blows everything up. This felt like some Final Destination crap. I'm just being real. Like, this, that just screamed Final Destination, for like everything to just happen in that kind of sequence, and boom, 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 comes the explosion. And to be fair, the only thing I didn't like about that whole aspect, I can get behind the whole Final Destination-esque, you know, accident happening throughout the entire episode, but what I can't forgive is the fact that this the keys were in the door. Who tries to shut something and, like it doesn't shut when you're trying to shut it, and you just try to force it shut instead of actually looking for the cause, what's causing it not to be able to be shut? Instead of just looking for what's causing it to be jammed or whatever, you just keep forcing it, and then boom, bam, here comes the explosion. That's the only, downfall I really had with this entire episode. But one of the cases, well, the whole thing was a case in general, that I really enjoyed was Claudette. We see Claudette takes the 911 call from the kid, with the baby sister, and his father told him to protect his sister and everything. In this case, we get to see Claudette in a different light, because we know Claudette is kind of stoic and a little standoffish, but we haven't really completely forgiven her for coming at May, but we're okay with her now a little bit, and seeing her in this light, it kind of gave a little light to Claudette, if you will, because we see that she was just completely heartbroken and devastated when she thought that this kid had died, man. I was a little heartbroken too, but I knew that wasn't the case, because I knew the kid, whether I didn't know that it was in the mirror, I didn't really pay attention to that part, but I knew that he was not in room 318. You know what I'm saying? You could look at the mirror and tell that well, that can't be right. It was kind of reversed, but I didn't know what the numbers were, but I knew the kid wasn't dead. And she was just heartbroken, and seeing Claudette in that light, it kind of made me feel okay, well, now I can kind of get behind Claudette a little bit. And we even had old girl kind of, not so much as comfort her, but kind of ease her a little bit to tell her that, Buck and Eddie ended up saving the kid and his baby sister because they were in a different room than what the room he read off and announced to her. That was nice. That was really, really nice. We have the one dude that's been completely cured from cancer, and he went back in to save the nurse that really meant a lot to him. And I can speak from personal experiences, man. Being in the hospital with some great nurses, that can just make the world. And me myself, I was in the hospital, and the nurses there were phenomenal, man. They were some of the most wonderful, nicest, just overall great people that you could ever be. And I don't want to just wish anybody would go to the hospital, but if you just had to go to the hospital, you go to that hospital, man, and I guarantee you'll feel like you're floating on cloud nine, because those nurses and staff were just phenomenal people, man. And I honestly I don't want to say I had the best time being in a hospital, but they made the time that I had so much more easier to be in, you know what I'm saying? And Ravi had the same similar situation. We learned that, he was a kid that I want to say that he might have had cancer, because he mentioned that he had chemo to hand, and so he had some type of cancer, and he was in and out of hospitals when he was young, and he didn't really get to have a normal childhood. But him being around good nurses and staff and everything, that really meant a lot to Ravi as well. So speaking firsthand experience, man, it really means a lot when you have all these wonderful people in your corner. They're helping you in your dire time of need. It means the world. And we see that Michael and David, had the whole proposal thing going on, and David is just staying in the hospital to help his patient. I can give him kudos for that, but it had got to the point to where dude, I mean, now it is all kinds of dangerous. We need to close him up, and we can just go operate on him later. Let's get up out of here. But the fact that he went through, and then Bobby and the whole squad came in to fight for those 12 minutes to make sure that he could save his patient. And, then they had this all beautiful inspirational music going through it. This, the song was all, it made me tear up a little bit, to be honest. Listening with the song and watching the whole scene take place, it made me tear up a little bit. But seeing David take that extra mile and go that extra step, it was nice to see. And at the end, he ended up being safe. The firefighters were safe, and his patient was fine as well. This episode was just it just made you feel good. This was a feel good episode. To be real, this was a very feel good episode, and I felt great watching it, man. This is your boy Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button till you can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.